Japan's breakfast hasn't changed in a century, but our food changes every year. How did Grandma's meal keep everyone healthy through war, money troubles, and hard times? What happens if you eat like her for just 1 week? Can rice and soup really change your energy? There's a trick here nobody talks about. Why does a 100-year-old Japanese grandma breakfast feel safer than ours? In Japan, 83 years. That's how long people were living on average in 2011. And even by 2025, the number went up to 84.1 years. The adult obesity rate? Just 3.9%, way below most Western countries. You might wonder, what's their secret? Picture this. You wake up, and before you even get out of bed, you're already reaching for your phone. But a Japanese grandma in 1925 did something totally different. She'd slide open a paper door, breathe in the steam from a bowl of rice, and her whole breakfast looked almost the same as what many older people in Japan still eat now. 1 bowl of rice, 1 bowl of miso soup, a tiny bit of fish, a few pickled veggies. It sounds plain, right? So why does this boring tray work better than the fancy stuff we eat today? Here's a number that explains a lot. The U.S. Institute of Medicine says adults need about 25 to 38 grams of fiber each day, but most people in rich countries get only 14 to 16 grams. That's half. What happens then? People feel hungry all the time. Blood sugar bounces up and down, and diseases show up more often in the long run. Look back at her breakfast. Those pickles and seaweed? Real fiber. The soup? It's got fermented stuff that's good for your belly. Even the rice changes in a sneaky way. When rice cools and gets reheated, some of the starch acts like resistant starch, which breaks down slower and doesn't spike blood sugar as much as fresh, hot rice does. Most folks miss this. A small rice bowl can actually act like a slow bowl. That means you don't crash or get shaky and your mood stays even. Studies between 2018 and 2021 followed about 12,500 Japanese workers and found that people who stuck closest to a washoku-style breakfast, the traditional set, were 17 to 20% less likely to have depression symptoms. Diet isn't everything, but Japan keeps showing up near the top for life expectancy and health, and their style of eating is always in the mix. When you see that simple tray, you're not just looking at food, you're seeing soft armor that builds up over years, but what's hiding behind that sense of safety? It all starts way before the first bite, with one quiet rice ritual at dawn. Most people have stopped doing it, but it's where everything changes. She does 8 careful rinses, cooks in a heavy pot, and then flips a secret switch most kitchens forgot. Ever wonder what that ritual really is and what you're missing if you skip it? What is she quietly doing with the rice at dawn that we stopped? Rice farming hit Japan between 500 and 400 BCE. That's how deep the tradition goes. By 1925, when Grandma gets up in the dark, you don't see food right away. You hear water moving in a bowl. She's not just dumping rice in a pot, she's rinsing it again and again until the water's almost clear. Why bother? Because for her, rice isn't just food, it's a lifeline. Back in the Meiji and Taisho eras, families used rice as money, as pay, and as a daily meal. Every grain was earned, not just bought. Now think about money. Around 1900 to 1930, pure white rice was expensive. Poorer families used keitameshi. They'd mix in barley, millet, or chopped veggies to make the pot stretch further. When you have to work for every single bite, washing and measuring rice feels like a rule that protects the house. Now, compare that to your kitchen. How often does food just go bad and end up in the trash? In her house, leftovers almost never get tossed. Extra rice turns into onigiri rice balls, fried rice, or ochazuke, rice with tea and pickles on top. These tricks aren't new, they're ancient, but you'll still spot them in modern snacks and convenience store food today. Fast food got loud, but her old habits never really died. They just got pushed to the side. After cooking, she lets the rice sit for a few minutes in the heavy pot. That's not just for taste. The steam spreads out, each grain gets glossy, and part of the starch actually turns into resistant starch. Modern labs show that cooled, reheated rice causes a smaller blood sugar spike than piping hot rice. Her breakfast starts before anyone sees food. It starts with water, patience, and rules that guard both the wallet and the body. You might start your morning with an alert and a slice of toast. She starts with clear water and pure respect for her food. She wraps that rice ritual with something else, a warm soup that even scientists are still studying. When the steam rises, there's more than just flavor hiding in the air. What's really in that bowl of miso, and why can it keep her so calm? How can one small bowl of miso soup keep her calm? While our mornings shake, let's look at a real bowl. The lid comes off, steam floats up, and you get a mix of sea, soy, and something earthy. Miso goes way back. Japanese kitchens used fermented soybean paste for over 1,000 years. Miso soup became a breakfast thing in the Edo period, between 1603 and 1868. So when Grandma was stirring that pot in 1925, it's already a tradition. Here's the surprising bit. In 2017, a study checked 527 Japanese adults. Those who had miso soup more often, they had lower resting heart rates, which means a calmer nerve system. Another study in 2012, yes, with rats, found that miso soup could even slow down how salt raises blood pressure. So when people say, it's salty, it must be bad, the story's actually more complicated. By 2025, doctors and health writers noticed miso soup might help the gut, control weight, and even support the heart despite the salt. There's something in the fermentation that might block salt's usual bad effect. Think about what's really in the bowl. Dashi broth from dried fish and kelp, miso paste, tofu cubes, maybe seaweed and green onion. Even in 2026, if you go to a Japanese inn, you'll see the same soup on the tray. This isn't a trendy food, it's a tradition that never needed a phone app. Compare it to coffee and a pastry. That combo, it makes your heart race, hands shake, and leaves you hungry fast. Miso soup is the opposite. It's low-cal, brings protein, and has live bacteria from fermentation. Your body feels warm, full, and steady after one bowl. A 2022 review showed that people who eat more veggies, fish, and soy foods like miso have less risk of dying from heart disease or stroke. Grandma didn't need a research paper. She could feel the difference. Rice steadies the body, miso steadies the day. But on the tray, there's another quiet weapon. Those tiny pickles do more than you think. Long after breakfast ends, how do 3 little slices save money, fight waste, and boost health all at once? Why do her salty pickles save money and health, while our food goes bad and bland? In every breakfast photo, there's always a flash of color on the tray, 3 little pickle slices. They seem small, but they're doing serious work. These are tsukemono, Japanese pickles, and they go way back, used to save vegetables before anyone had a fridge. Families in the 1800s and 1900s would pack cucumbers, daikon, or eggplant in salt, rice bran, or vinegar. If winter came early or crops failed, pickles kept people fed. But here's a fact most people skip. Pickles look like extras, but the numbers tell a different story. In just 100 grams, tsukemono has about 29 to 39 calories, 3.5 grams of fiber, and loads of potassium, copper, and vitamin K. That means a small scoop brings crunch, gut health, and bone support without a big calorie hit. Now, umeboshi, the pickled plum, might only show up as one bite, but 100 grams have about 5 grams of fiber, lots of sodium, and roughly 60 calories. One plum on rice helps food stay fresh longer, gives you fiber, and barely adds any energy. Look at your fridge now. How many bags of salad go slimy? How much bread turns stale? Reports from rich countries show huge amounts of food waste per person each year. That's money and nutrients going straight to the trash. Her house had a fix for that. Extra veggies? Into the pickle crock. Leftover cucumber? Salt it. The jars on her kitchen wall acted as a second pantry that just kept paying back. The science goes deeper. Fermented pickles are like miso. They help the gut. Recent studies say fermented foods link to better digestion, more gut bacteria diversity, and even lower risk of certain long-term diseases. Even in the 2010s and 2020s, Japanese meal guides still put pickles right beside rice and soup. With just 3 tiny bites, she tackles food waste, adds cheap fiber, boosts vitamins, and turns plain rice into a real meal. But she has one more trick. She listens to the seasons. That's a move supermarkets don't even try to match. How does her kitchen know what the supermarket forgot, and why does it matter? If you're already thinking about your own breakfast, don't skip ahead. The most surprising part about Grandma's morning routine is coming up. Stick around, because it really changes how you see food. What does her tiny morning kitchen know about seasons that the supermarket forgot? Back in 1925, look at her kitchen table. You won't see strawberries in January, no tomatoes in a snowstorm. Old Japanese food rules, washoku, are built on seasons. Spring means wild greens and bamboo shoots. Summer, cucumbers and eggplant for pickling. Fall brings sweet potatoes and mushrooms. Winter sticks to stored rice, dried fish, and root veggies like daikon. Government and farm groups in Japan still describe washoku as a pattern based on local seasonal food. When UNESCO listed washoku as a cultural heritage in 2013, they called it a food culture that shows respect for nature and uses local seasonal food. That's not just talk. Eating by the season is a hidden life hack. You don't need a chart or a guide. You just eat what's available. That means you get all kinds of colors and nutrients across the year without needing to optimize your meals. Researchers keep finding the same pattern. Diets heavy in veggies, fruit, and plants linked to less risk of dying from heart disease or stroke. Seasonal produce is picked when it's ripe and moves fast from farm to table so it tastes better and has more vitamins. Now, look at the supermarket in 2026. You can buy almost anything, anytime, but most of it travels far and tastes kind of bland. That endless choice hides a body signal Grandma's kitchen always knew. Eat what fits the time of year. A 2020 study of Japanese women saw that women who stuck to a healthy Japanese diet, full of vegetables, seaweed, soy, and fish, had lower odds of depression. The season rule might quietly support mental health too, just by mixing up what you eat all year. So when she slices radish in winter and serves cucumber in summer, she keeps variety without ever using fancy words. The table always changes with the calendar. We chase new superfoods every year. She lets the land and weather pick what's on her table. But when daily life speeds up, this calm system can break. Fast changes started pulling people away, and a new habit crept into breakfast. What happened when screens and sugar replaced her slow rice ritual, and why did people start feeling empty? When did we trade her slow rice rules for screens and sugar and start feeling empty? Imagine 2 pictures, one from 1925, one from 2026. In the old one, a family sits together for breakfast. In the new one, someone's scrolling through their phone in bed. Breakfast changed a lot between the late 1900s and now. In Japan, by the 2010s, more people started their day with bread, margarine, and coffee, instead of rice, miso, and pickles. In the West, sugary cereals and sweet drinks took over breakfast tables from the 1960s on. Now, bring back the fiber gap. A 2016 review said most U.S. adults were only getting 10 to 16 grams of fiber each day, even though experts said they needed 25 to 38 grams. In 2024 to 2025, nutrition experts said 90 to 95% of U.S. adults still weren't hitting that target. When breakfast turns into sweet, crunchy food and sugary drinks, you lose the slow, filling base that grandma-style meals had. You get hungry again, fast, and snack more later. Here's the other shift: screens. Smartphones blew up after 2007. By the 2010s, eating while scrolling became normal, but studies from those years linked more screen time to worse sleep, less mindful eating, and more snacking. Ask yourself, when you eat while looking at your phone, do you even taste the food or just swallow and forget it? Meanwhile, research on Japanese-style diets kept showing up. A 2022 meta-analysis tied eating more veggies, fish, and soy to a lower risk of dying from heart disease or stroke using decades of data. The pattern is clear. As mornings sped up, fast food and fast screens pulled people away from breakfasts that gave steady energy and calm. Grandma's routine proves one thing: a slow bowl can reset your whole system. But in her home, the reset runs deeper than just food. There's a safety net hidden under her rice and soup. What is it, and how does it work for her family? What if this old Japanese grandma breakfast is really a safety net for her whole family? Go back to the kitchen in 1925. Breakfast is not just a meal, it's a shared event. Everyone sits down together, nobody stands or grabs food on the run. That's the washoku way. UNESCO in 2013 called it a social custom passed from elders to kids, showing thanks for land and sea. You don't need big words to see it. Just watch the same set show up every morning through both good and bad years. Now look at the health numbers. In 2011, Japan's adult obesity rate was about 3.9%, and average life expectancy was 83 years. A 2013 paper tied those numbers in part to the washoku way of eating. When people eat together, they're less likely to overeat or skip meals. The mental health link is real too. From 2018 to 2021, about 12,500 workers who stuck closest to the washoku diet were 17 to 20% less likely to have signs of depression. That means food rhythm and daily routine support both body and mind. Money matters here too. Clean white rice was a luxury around 1900 to 1930. Families stretched rice with katameshi, used scraps for pickles, and stored miso for months. When the basics, rice, soup, veggies, make up most of the meal, and meat or fish stay small, you can feed everyone for less. Even healthcare is part of this net. In 2016, Japan had 12.5 hospital beds per 1,000 people, way above the OECD average. Long life means more elders to care for, but also shows decades of steady daily habits. Plain and simple, this tray acts like a safety net. Rice fills people up for work and school. Miso and pickles support the gut and mood. The shared table builds trust. Cheap seasonal food keeps the family on budget. Every part looks tiny alone, but together they hold a household steady. But say you could step into that kitchen with your 2026 brain. What would you grab first and bring back home? One choice could change everything about your mornings. If you stepped into her morning kitchen tomorrow, which part of that breakfast would you beg to bring back first? You walk into a wood house in 1925 Japan. The table's low, the room's quiet, and the breakfast tray looks almost too simple. 4 things: steamed rice, miso soup, pickles, and a small piece of fish or egg. The wildest thing? That set would look totally normal in a Japanese inn in 2026. The pattern lasted a full century. So if you could bring back just one piece, which would help you most, the fastest? Let's talk about the rice bowl. Switching sugar cereal for a small rice bowl a few days a week moves you closer to plant-based starch and away from ultra-processed food. Big studies in 2022 and 2025 say plant-heavy eating like this ties to fewer deaths from heart disease and more healthy years of life. That boring rice could protect your future, or maybe it's the miso soup. That 2017 study on adults, the 2012 animal work, and health writers in 2025 all point to miso helping with heart rate, blood pressure, gut health, and even weight. One warm bowl could be the easiest win if mornings feel rushed. Maybe the pickle jar is what you need. Tsukemono has about 3.5 grams of fiber per 100 grams, plus potassium, copper, and vitamin K, all for only 29 to 39 calories. Adding just a few bites beside any white carb helps your gut and cuts down food waste at home. Or maybe it's not the food, it's the phone-free table. Studies from the 2010s and 2020s keep warning about ultra-processed food, low fiber, and mindless eating. Just 10 quiet minutes at the table can help you feel full and cut down on random snacks later. You don't need to give up modern life. Keep your job, your apps, your coffee. Just borrow one old rule: a small bowl of rice, a bowl of soup, something crunchy, and a calm moment. Try this for a month. Swap your usual breakfast for a rice bowl, miso soup most mornings, a spoonful of pickles with any white carb, and one phone-free spot. Ask yourself 3 questions. Do you feel less shaky before lunch? Are you less hungry right after eating? Do you feel even a bit safer starting the day? If you get even a tiny yes, you've just found what her family learned in 100 years, and the real story begins when you repeat it tomorrow. Did any of these breakfast secrets surprise you? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're ready for more stories that flip what you thought was normal, hit that next video now. See you there.